Hey guys, Ross Martin here of the Big Hitters Only podcast. Quick intro for this upcoming show. We had three of my buddies on, Griffin Kennedy, Patrick OShea, and a late appearance by the Wayne House. And it's a different type of show. It's a marathon training show, and I talk a little bit about it in the intro for the actual show, but the audio wasn't perfect. We talked over each other some. The virtual aspect of that show, obviously not the best quality because we weren't in person. We're going to try to do more of those. So just bear with us on this show, but super interesting. Griffin and Patrick have run marathons and they provide some advice for me in my training. We're all training for the October 27th Marine Corps Marathon. So give it a shot. I want to apologize for the quality of the audio and kind of the butting in left and right, which affects the show's quality. But I think it's a really interesting episode if you're interested in running and training for a marathon and just a couple of friends kind of talking back and forth. So, guys, remember, rate, review, subscribe, follow, like, comment, engage on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. Appreciate it, guys. All right, welcome in to the Big Hitters Only podcast. This is a special episode. This is not going to be UNC related until the end. We have Griffin Kennedy and Patrick OShea, two buddies of mine from Chapel Hill in the Durham area, and we're going to talk marathons. This is a marathon running episode. It's going to get fun. It's going to get interesting. I think it's a chance to learn a lot, but definitely not a UNC podcast in terms of like UNC football and basketball. Remember, guys, rate, review, subscribe, follow on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen. Tell your friends. Hey, you have some runners in your family? You have some runners, your friends? You have anybody interested in doing a half or a full marathon? Send them this episode. Say, hey, I got a couple bros here talking about marathon running in a different way. And that'd be great. All right, this is the deal. We're all running a marathon. Me, Griff, Patrick, a couple other, I would say 20 other people in our community.
I think easily 20. Yeah.
Yeah. That are running a marathon. Go ahead.
And shout out to you because you're sort of doing it solo in Greensboro. So you're grinding. You talked about it on the pod, but you're down 15, 20-mile runs by yourself.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. I need to introduce y'all better. So we got 20, 25 people doing a marathon October 27th. October 27th in Washington, D.C., the Marine Corps Marathon. This is going to be a training episode. Griffin and Patrick ran a marathon last year in Richmond. I know Patrick's done a couple before that. I think you're trying to qualify for Boston as well. They are the expert marathoners. I'm a newbie. I have never run a marathon. I don't even know if I plan to do another marathon. So I want this episode for me to get intel from them on training starting on September 10th to October 27th. And then I want to learn kind of what they're doing to kind of get more of an expert profile. So Griffin, what's up, man? How are you?
Doing good. We all sort of started this about the same time. First of all, I would not call myself a marathon expert. I ran one last year, and then this is this one. I think it's going pretty well. I think it's, I don't want to bore the legions of listeners of the Big Hitters podcast, but I think it's interesting because like just whatever you do, whether you're trying to qualify for like a big race or anything like that, just finishing one of these races is huge. So I mean, like that's sort of what kind of makes this stuff a little interesting, right? Is like it's you're not trying to put up a score, you're trying to hit a time maybe, but like I don't know, Ross, do you have are you trying to set a certain goal time, or are you trying to do stuff like that? Or are you just trying to finish?
Trying to finish with minimal walking. Yeah, I mean, I am not.
I think you're.
Yeah, we'll get into it. I mean, I'm trying to target a general pace, I think, and hopefully get most of my miles under a certain number. Griffin's from Wilson, big Carolina fan. 2008, 2009 grad. I know you kind of had an extra year in there, maybe. Former Topo bartender. Turned big time runner. Yeah, he's got a lot of stuff on his resume too. All right, Patrick's you went to ECU, right?
Yeah. I was Pirate 04 to 08, so the glory years of football. Skip Holtz, which, was brief and
Yeah.
short-lived. But it was fun while I was there.
Yeah, Patrick's very fast. All right, these guys obviously have never been on a podcast before. You got to bring it. Got to bring it. Fast takes, talk a little faster, get through it all. All right, I am training for a marathon, and I need to know what I need to do from now until October 27th. Let's start right now. So I ran 20.77 miles on Monday. I've been running about 40 miles per week for about, let's go 5-6 weeks. I've been trying to get between 30 and 40 miles. Patrick, kind of map out.
This is not a hypothetical.
What do you mean?
This is the Ross Martin Strava right now. This is exactly.
Yeah,
it's locked in.
So yeah, I've been training hard. Like Griff said, I've been running by myself. So what kind of lay out, and Griff, jump in here. Patrick, what do I need to be doing starting this week, going into the next couple of weeks, leading into the marathon? We'll get into more civics after that.
So I think there's certain, Patrick, jump in. We both read a book last year. We had some assigned reading. It was called The Competitive Runner's Handbook. Our buddy Thad recommended it to us. He's a much better marathoner than I am, but it's good. I mean, it showed up in the mail, and I was thinking it was going to be like 80 pages, and it was 400 pages. So it took a while, but it's good. I mean, I think there's some things you can add in during the week. I think you can do like a speed day, Ross. You could do some track stuff. That's just like 400s, 800s, mile pushes. Those days are still going to be like 5 or 6 miles, even though you're doing some speed stuff. And then just, 1 or 2 of these long runs.
A week? 1 or 2 long runs a week?
Not just grind. I mean, you're not doing 220s a week, but like, maybe a 10 and a 20, a 6 and 2 7s, something like that.
Yeah. Just say what Griff said about the speed work is key. Like that was something I didn't really think about before trying to be intentional about marathon training. Like you need to put in some work, spend some time on the track. Even if you're training for a long run and long distance, but your ability to finish and your ability to grind is kind of built on those days when you're kind of redlining and trying to do those at least once a week, but also not busting your tail on all the other days, because I think the default is, hey, I'm training, I'm working hard, I'm grinding, I need to keep grinding. Like if I take my nose off the grindstone for one day, then I'm gonna, somebody else is gonna beat me. But actually, hey, I worked hard. We ran up Lone Pine today. We missed a champ. Then spent some time on the track. But tomorrow isn't going to be a fast day. So tomorrow is going to be slower pace. Take it easy. Just get some miles in. And having that cadence of like hard, soft, hard, soft.
Yeah, and I was kind of mentioning this to Ross before you hopped on, Patrick. Is like, he did his long run yesterday, and like it's hard to wrap your mind around. Like your pace on the race day is going to be like a minute faster than that per mile. So like not getting discouraged if you're going slower than you kind of want to go, because I think there's going to be adrenaline. It's still really hot and humid in North Carolina, so just it's not going to be that hot, in 2 months. So all that stuff's going to lead to you being a lot faster, 8 or 9 weeks from now.
So these speed days, break down what I should be doing. Like you said, I should do, maybe 1 or 2 speed days a week. Give me an example of what I should be doing for that.
Probably just one.
Or Griffin. Okay. Break it down. Yeah. Give me a workout. Give me 2 examples of 2 workouts.
Yeah, one time a week. So I think your distance should not be any longer than 1.5 miles. And ideally it's even shorter than that. Most tracks are 400 meters, and anyhow, so doing a lap or 2 laps, that's an 800, and basically doing really hard work for one of those cycles, and then some amount of chill time in between. And so that might mean doing another lap slow. It might mean taking a minute off. It might, but if you're, and then setting a number that you're trying to do, the longer the distance, the shorter the number of reps. The shorter the distance, the more you should probably try to do.
So yeah, there's a couple of good ones. There's one called, I think it's like the Yassos workout, like Yassos. It's named after some coach somewhere. But if you can do 10 800s with like a 2 or 3 minute break in between your 800s at whatever, like say you want to run like a 3.5 hour marathon, you should be running the 2 laps around the track, 800 meters in 3.5 minutes. So that should kind of set your sort of pace and kind of what you should be doing there. That's a good one. One we did last week. Patrick and I spent a lot of lonely miles together in the morning. But we did last week. We did a cut down run where we started at like 8 minute pace, and then we cut 10 or 15 seconds off, every mile for 8 miles.
Okay, so you're on a run.
Patrick
You're
left
on.
me at the end. I'm just
So you're on like a long run, but every mile is faster.
And that's more about like trying to that's speed work because at the end of that you're under 7. We were under 7, but like just trying to hang on to that pace for a while, and it also gets you familiar with sort of gets you to feel sort of what that pace is, if that makes any sense.
Okay. So
Also,
another.
the other piece of it is, yeah, go ahead, Ross.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Part of that speed work is kind of mentally breaking yourself and proving to yourself that you can keep doing it.
Yeah.
So there's
Yeah,
part of
yeah, I
the
agree with
speed
that.
work. Yeah, the part of the speed work, part of those cut down runs is really saying like I can push it to the limit and then I can do another 2 miles after that.
Okay. Okay. So, but back to my initial question. Like, what should I be running this week, next week? Should I be ramping up my miles? Should I be sticking with what I've been doing? Is pretty much like, a 6, a 10, maybe another 9 or 10, maybe then a 3, and then a 20, or like a 15 to 20. Should I be sticking with that? Should I be ramping up my miles? Should I push to like a 22? Should I be, going, instead of 10, should I be running like 12s? Kind of, and should it escalate until a certain point, and then we'll
There's
get
no,
into tapering.
I would ramp up a little bit. I don't. It's up to you whether you want to go above 20. There's no. We are during this cycle. We've got 5 20+ mile trainer runs. That's a lot. Um, a lot of people like our buddy Loveseat. He qualified for Boston running 4 times a week last year. So he did fewer runs, but maybe more miles at each run, and he only went over 20 2 or 3 times. So it's whatever kind of works for you. We're doing a plan right now that's 6 days a week, and we max out around 56 miles a week. Um, if you're already grinding at 40, I think, maybe you don't need to go over 50. Maybe you want to get up to 56 or something like that, but I wouldn't jump up too quickly. And I think having some of those, if you want to do some more speed stuff, like maybe you want to see how fast you can run a half marathon, then maybe that week you're down at like 40 again instead of 45, something like that.
Patrick?
That's still gonna be really hard, but just fewer miles.
Yeah, I was gonna say, for me, Griff had to deal with this more last year. I would like work random nights, and so there was times I was like, I'm just not available on this Saturday morning, so we'll figure out about the long run. Um, I think just being real about what your constraints are, because like work is work, life is life, family is family, and if you can't do it, just being realistic and setting realistic targets, but also adjusting them when something's going to come up. But like if it's not worth trying to bust your tail and do like 3 days straight at 12 miles just to catch up. Just be realistic and don't burn yourself out. Even at this point, even with like steady miles on your legs, feeling frankly fast. I bet you're feeling as fast as you've ever felt, Ross.
Dude, I ran that 20.77. My first 14 miles were under 10. And, you know, 9.5 for a
Yeah,
long
man.
run is like good for me. So I felt great that first 10, 12 miles. And I went back to my car at 10. I park at my parents' house. It's kind of weird, but like my parents' house is close to downtown. So I have this loop I do that hits up some old neighborhoods. And I go downtown and I hit the Greenway. And kind of where I live doesn't allow me to get there in a certain way. So I park outside my parents' house, which is it's just weird. So my mom came out at mile 10, you know, it was 7 o'clock. You know, I started at 5:30 or something or whatever. And she came out and I was eating my gummies and my goos and drinking. And so I've been hydrating halfway through. And I really think Griffin and Wayne, who Wayne's gonna come on here in a second, yeah, I think you too, but like, I didn't really think about taking goos or eating gummies, like energy gummies during runs. Like I was like, dude, I'm a badass. I don't need that shit. I've never eaten stuff on runs. I never run with water. You know, if I stop, I'll drink, but like I've never had to because I've never run more than 12 or 10.
Well, I
Let me
think this
finish.
will tell you that I'm not an expert runner. Is that like until we started training last year, I never drank anything during a race either. We would do half marathons or like 14-mile races, and I would just like run past the water stations, right, like an idiot.
Yeah.
And and yeah, man, it makes a huge difference. All that stuff, the goos. I eat some gummies before I'll start a long race, stuff like that. So
Well,
And that,
last year that was when we like unlocked Griff's potential because he realized he was sweating so damn much,
no
and
sweat,
then
dirty
yeah,
sweat.
once he started like taking electrolytes and drinking, then he was like, oh, I could run more than 12 miles,
Yeah,
and then he just took off, and then it was like didn't look back.
we got
yeah. All right.
Shane in the coffee shop we go to. They were following me around with a mop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get into nutrition here. Are y'all eating any different like during training weeks? Like, I mean, do you change at all? Do you really need to change? I mean, I probably need to, you know, I would think more about nutrition the couple of weeks before the race. Um, what about that? And then also I answer that question, then we'll get into a different question here. I mean, I know about nutrition, like I know how to eat healthy, but like, what are y'all gonna do the week before the race or the week of the race in terms of nutrition? Go ahead, jump in.
I have two things. One, no booze the week of race week. I definitely during training I don't drink as much. Like the IPAs go way down, but that race week, no alcohol, and then dial up your fiber because you don't want to be stuck in the can on race day. So increase your fiber starting that week so that you're nice and regular.
Griff?
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I probably don't follow this as well. I mean, like I have a 6-year-old and an almost 3-year-old, so I'm still eating like leftover nuggets, scraping out mac and cheese bowls.
Yeah.
Trying to sneak ice cream out of the freezer late at night. But yeah, I think it's cutting down on drinking can get a little dicey, right? It's football season, so just kind of watch that a little bit and yeah, just manage. Like try to cut down. I mean, for me, like cut down the fried stuff, cut down on like so many sandwiches. I'm trying to eat eggs in the morning,
Yeah.
stuff like that. So
Yeah. So I mean, what's crazy about so I didn't run this
Any
weekend.
change?
I didn't
I was
run
there. Any
Friday.
changes on your end, Ross?
Yeah, yeah. I'll tell you what. So Friday I did like 10 miles, and then Saturday it was Friday and Saturday and Sunday I was in Charlotte. And so I didn't run Saturday morning. I played a bunch of pickleball Friday. I didn't run Saturday. I didn't run Sundays. That's why I did my long run on Monday. And I was ripping tequila on Saturday. And I was fine. Like I was fine by game time, but I was drinking, I was hydrating. I did tequila sodas with lime. And I was trying to get a buzz. I mean, that was the purpose of it. And And so I was a little tired and maybe a little hungover on Sunday. But dude, Monday, I was like, Monday, I got to do it. I got to get this run in. And I felt great. And I think it's because I didn't drink it all on Sunday and I hydrated. I think hydration is key. Y'all didn't mention that. I've been doing the hydration tablets. I bought a bunch of stuff to try. Scratch hydration powders, liquid IVs. Like I'm really ramping up hydration the night before. The morning before, I'll drink a significant amount of hydration water with the salts and the sodium, magnesium, potassium, all that stuff. Obviously, halfway through or at some point during the run, I'll get that in, and then after, I'm hydrating as well. So that's been a big thing I've unlocked as well, along with the goos. I love the goos. They do. It's kind of weird because you're so in your head on your energy levels while you run. You're like, all right, when do I have the goo during this run? Do I start at 4 miles, 6 miles? I kind of save them until maybe 8 when I feel it, or do you preemptively take them to kind of so you don't feel tired, and so you kind of take them ahead of time? I don't know what y'all's strategy is on taking goos during runs and hydration. Jump in here.
Yeah, I do just quick hydrations. I do liquid IVs and then the LMNT kind of, it's like a saltier kind of powder too. I'll do one or two of those a day. For the goos, you know you're not supposed to wait until you think you need it because then you'll never catch back up. It needs
Okay.
like 15, 20 minutes to kind of hit your system. So like I just follow, it says on the pack, right? Like every 45 minutes. So I'll go like 40, 45 minutes sort of every one. During the race last year, I cut that down after 3. So like after like I think I was like 45 minutes, hour and a half, 2:15. And by that point I'm like just craving it, right? Like give me 5 more minutes so I can get this goo. And then it was like 2:40 and then maybe like you know I had another one, but I probably didn't need more at the end, but
Patrick, what's your strategy during a race in terms
Yeah.
of hydration and energy goo intake? And goos, guys, we're mentioning them a lot. Little packets of literally goo. The brand is called Goo, and it's like 100 calories of like sodium, magnesium, potassium, flavored stuff. Energy goo. There's a bunch of different brands out
it's
there.
spelled
All the gels.
EU.
Yeah, it's spelled GU.
Yeah.
All right, Patrick, what's your strategy
Yeah.
during a race?
Goos are what I use. I do it mileage based, so it's just easier for me because I'm keeping an eye on miles the whole time. So somewhere between 5 and 6, and I kind of do it based on feel. But generally going to get 4 in over the course of a race, and so somewhere between 5 and 6, kind of based on the course, based on what's ahead. Water, I definitely stop at every water stand and I actually like slow down to a walk, pinch the cup, and get the whole cup in. And so I did that at Richmond and timing worked out fine. So like, you feel like every wasted second that you're not running during a marathon, you feel like you're missing out or you feel like you're wasting time. And it's like just slow down. Just stop. Drink the water. It'll be fine. Like 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds is not going to kill you. And you're going to be
Mhm.
so much better off just pausing and getting a drink. And so, I mean, you're right. Posting up at your mom's house. That's how we structure our runs. We plan our whole run around water and water stations. Um,
Because we're
we
not
don't, we don't,
we don't have the backpacks, we don't have the
no,
handhelds, and there's nothing wrong with that. But that's just
yeah.
just we're
Yeah,
not
I
doing
mean,
that stuff.
do you judge people with the waist packs or the
There's
water
nothing wrong with
packs
that.
or the handheld packs? Do you judge them?
Don't judge anybody.
Yeah, me either.
Don't judge anybody.
Dude, I see the waist packs with like the little shooters of water. It's like, what's the point? Like, it's so small. Like, the hindrance of that around your waist, you're getting like a cup, literally like 8 ounces of water. Like, what's the point?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't.
you know I I bought a bigger water bottle this summer too, just trying to like run down at the beach and stuff like that. I mean, I get in trouble too, or I'll try to do like an 8 mile run and I'll have drunk on my water like 5 miles in and just die. Right? So like it gets me in more trouble than just trying to plan around like running around a specific water stop. I think
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
we're
It
spending.
ends up for
And
us. I mean, we end up doing like out and backs because of that. But like, we have some other friends who will like go ahead and like hide water in certain places out on their runs. So
yeah.
like that's a next level of planning. I have never had that, but like that's a reasonable option too. And I'd still probably do that over the fanny packs or the belts because exactly what you said. I've run with one, but they just slosh around, and then the water's warm. And it's just I don't know. It's not a terribly pleasant experience. I'd rather
No,
just like keep
yeah.
running and just like stop for a minute.
It's a
Nothing
good
like,
point about it getting warm, right?
well,
Because
I
you're
was gonna
gonna
say
want
that
to get it like an. Ugh.
there's nothing like the goo too, because I put the goo in the back pocket of my running shorts. It has like a little pocket. I can put like 3 goos in there and my keys or whatever. And like, I mean, you're eating a warm goo. And it's been resting on your lower back, and so all the sweat's coming down there.
Yeah.
But it
Right.
is what it is. I mean, you don't give a shit at that point. I love how Patrick was trying to like
No.
coach me on water stations. Hang on, real quick. Patrick was coaching me on water stations as if I'm not gonna stop and like literally walk. Like you don't have to tell me to walk. I mean, I've been walking. There's 20 guys running, and I'm walking. Like, I'm going to stop at every station. I'm going to walk and drink. Go ahead, Patrick. You're going to hop in there.
I was gonna say, I'm glad you brought up. I mean, warm goo much better than warm water. Like warm goo just goes down easier.
Yeah. All right.
That's
Tapering.
the only time I'll say that.
I think Wayne may be coming in here. I told him to 15. Tapering. When do we taper? When do we taper? How's that work? I literally don't know. I need to Google it, but tell me about tapering.
Yeah. Probably 4 weeks out. You're gonna want to start cutting down. Uh, Not doing like you're not. That's sort of gonna be your last like long run. Don't do like a 20-mile run after like 3.5 weeks out. And you're gonna feel really good. I mean, you're gonna go from 40 miles, 45 miles down to like 32, right? Something like that. And you're gonna feel like you got all this energy and like maybe I should just keep training. And I mean, there's all this stuff like it gives your body time to build back up the glycogen levels. And that's way more than, I mean, I don't know what that means necessarily, but you need that for energy for that long. And you spent 3 or 4 months using it all, so you don't have any right now. So you're probably feeling kind of tired. So that's what the taper is. You'll build it back up.
Okay. And then like
And
week of. Like week
I'll
of.
say, well, other thing about tapering, tell the missus to keep an eye out for the taper tantrums because they're coming. You've been grinding, you've been putting in more than 40 miles, and like when you taper down, you also like just get more revved up, and so you're more anxious, you're snapping a little bit more. So just make sure she's got a heavy work schedule that week.
Okay. So, all right. More on tapering.
But
All right. So you're.
Patrick,
Go ahead.
Patrick showed up at the house last week. My wife got like 3 cubic yards of mulch delivered like race week last year, and I was like, honey, I love you. I cannot like be out here with a shovel for 3 hours right now. So like, yeah, costs a
So,
lot.
all right. So the week of, like, what do you do in the week of? Like 2 weeks out, week of, like, what's that looking like? If you get down to 30 miles and then maybe 2 weeks out, you're doing, 25, 20 miles. What's the week of look like? Races on a Sunday.
What is it like 50? Maybe like 10 to 12, 10 to 15 miles that week plus the race, something like that. But
Yeah, maybe 15.
I don't think you go over. You might do like 1.6 or 1.5. There's a couple of like threes in there, something like that. You're still moving, but yeah, way down.
Okay. Anything else,
Right.
Patrick?
I mean,
Like,
we'll
what?
do a little run the, a day before or 2 days
No,
before.
yeah. I think oh, well, the other piece, it's interesting. I think I played golf. I think I played like 2 rounds of golf that week, but otherwise, staying off your feet is relatively advised. So like you are running, but then otherwise, like try to chill. So try to have it be um, a little more seated work for that week. So I had got out. I had like a late shift that was supposed to end at midnight. I think on like that Thursday before ours, and thankfully was able to like get out of it because that would have been miserable. That would have just like wrecked my week. And trying to avoid those. Trying to have good sleep that whole week, getting at least 8 hours. Um, I know you're gonna like talk about sleep, but I think you're looking at two guys who basically get between 5 and 6 hours of sleep. That is suboptimal. Uh, but I think if you can shoot for 7 hours uh, a night, that's going to set you up. Just because your legs are tired, you're burning a lot of energy, and giving yourself a chance to heal and not break down.
I mean, you running Thursday, Friday, Saturday before the race. What's that? What's that like?
You'll probably take at least 1 or 2 of those days off. You're saying week of like you're probably running like Monday, Tuesday, maybe like Thursday, Friday, right? Something like that.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Either only at least one of those 2 days before the race off.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. Electric stuff. All right. We're going to let in a special guest now, Wayne House, F3 Dogwoods coming in. He's going to have a couple guest questions, just 10 minutes. I'll direct traffic here. 3 people's tough, man. 4 is going to be harder. Everybody here is new to podcasting, so it's a matter of, it's tough when it's virtual. It'd be better in person. But here we go. Wayne House coming in here. We're talking marathon. Wayne's another part of the crew. Whoa! Oh, with a suit on, a tie and a shirt. Can you hear us, Wayne House?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, he's great. All right. This is Wayne's first podcast, too. Everybody's a podcast newbie here. Wayne House here. He looks like he's being held hostage in a corporate hotel. He's like hunched over his computer. Wayne, we're talking.
You told me this is
Go
a
ahead.
job interview? You told me this was a job interview? Thus the tie?
Yeah, I love it. I love it. All right, I got direct traffic here, so I'm going to call on people. I want Wayne. You're going to have some questions for Griff and Patrick. I've asked them a bunch of stuff. We've talked about a bunch of things, but maybe you'll hit something different. Questions, because this is your first marathon as well. Wayne is running with us in DC for the Marine Corps Marathon, October 27th. Wayne, what's one question you want to ask Griff and Patrick? I'm going to direct traffic here.
I wrote them down. I don't know if you can see that, but it says big ideas. And I think the most important question is, how do you mentally or physically get through what I envision as the hardest miles, being miles, I'm going to say 13 through 20. I'm assuming that after miles 20, adrenaline fuels you from there. But how do you mentally and physically get through the middle hardest mile?
All right, let's go to Patrick first.
All right. All right. I think for that stretch, honestly, figuring out like you've been running at this point, right? The first half is done. And at that point, I'm thinking about I know my pace, I know where I want to be running. Either my tank is lower because I went too fast out of the first half, or I'm ready to go. And then figure out somebody who's running about the same pace. And honestly, try to like lock in, run with, maintain somebody close to you. And just honestly, those 13 to 20, those are kind of blackout miles. Like I don't really remember those from Richmond. Like I remember somebody saying, "All right, we're halfway there." And then the next part I remember is the grind between 22 and 26.
Now,
So,
Wayne, when you pick up, Wayne, when you find someone, Wayne, it's got to be male. You can't follow a female. Eyes up. You got to follow a male, not a female. Eyes up. Griff, sorry I interrupted you. Your suggestion here.
Yeah, kind of like Patrick. I think, like we've all been running a lot, and you're gonna be faster than you think you are. So I think you're gonna feel pretty good at 13. I think it's like 18 through 22, I think is the worst. Because you're not quite close enough where you can just limp in and you really start to kind of fade at that point. So yeah, I mean, I think 13 through 18, yeah, is fine, and it's going to be a big enough race where there's going to be a ton of like people cheering. We're going to be bouncing around, national monuments, history. We're part of history. So I think it'll be fine.
Dude, my arm is going to be the most sore part because I'm going to be saluting so much, like respecting the troops, respecting the monuments. All right, Wayne, your next question. That's good. I mean, hang on first. That's a good point. Like, when are the tough miles? Like, 13 through 20 is tough, I would think. But yeah, I mean, 18 through 24. I mean, it all sounds tough. After kind of 8, for me, it's like, all right, just kind of grab on and hold. All right, Patrick's got his finger up. Go ahead, Patrick.
First 2 miles, you gotta set your pace because you're gonna be pumped. You're gonna be like, holy shit, I've been doing this. I've been training for like 4 months,
Yeah, don't go.
and it all comes down to today. And like, you're gonna be amped, and you have to restrain yourself. You have to know what your goal is. You have to set a pace that you want to start at, because if you start too fast, it's gonna be tough sledding, and you'll be fine, but you'll fade real hard at the end. If you can show some restraint, start reasonable, maybe even like 10 minutes or 10 seconds slower than the pace you want to run, you're gonna set yourself up well. But it's hard because you're blasting out of there with everyone else. Everyone else is pumped, and so that's the other window that you gotta be thinking.
All right, Wayne, your next question.
Well, and I wanted to follow up too as we provide counter programming tonight for some other events happening in our country. Follow up questions back to the moderator. Don't forget, Ross, that you're going to be also needing Sharpies for all the autographs that you're going to be signing. Also, something that your arm could get sore, but it could give you some extra breaks.
Hey, you'll love this, Wayne. Hey,
This is a
you'll
more
love this, Wayne.
philosophical.
I mean, I'll jump in here. You'll love this. At a Mipso concert downtown Greensboro,
What?
sitting there listening to music with my family. Fan comes up to me. Oh, I love you on the podcast. Love you on the podcast. Anyway, continue.
And then you said another satisfied customer.
Yeah, that's right.
This is more philosophical. What has marathon training taught you about yourself?
All right, Griffin, you take this one first.
Griff, you got it.
Love it. Good question, Wayne.
Gosh. Like we all ran for a while before we started doing these kinds of runs. We would all for the listeners, for the listening audience, we would all meet up and run like, 6 miles in the morning and then have coffee and then, high five and go to work. So it's a big pivot going from that to like, getting up at 4 in the morning and busting out a 20-mile run and then going, for me, immediately to a tailgate with a bunch of kids and climbing the bell tower and dying. So just like realizing sort of that like doesn't matter. I mean, you can always get better, right? We run people that are better than us. But just like that's kind of what I think makes running interesting is like it's something you can measure and you can always get better at it. We ran this morning with a 57-year-old guy who's crushing it. He's crushing the speed work. And so, you can do this for a while. You can do it whenever you want to. And just the constant improvement aspect of it, I think, I think that's
Patrick,
it for me.
Your turn, Patrick. Something different.
Yeah, I would say how much better it was to do hard things with like friends and partners. And so, training or running for things before, and then like, find our like F3 running group, but also having an accountability partner with Griff. And, all of us, right? Like we got Ross out here posting, and, it's awesome to see the growth in the community and like support. But it comes down to just having somebody to hold you accountable and then doing it with somebody else. So I was surprised because I always think about running as like a way to clear my head, a way to burn off some anxiety. But really, I think the best part is training for something hard, with friends.
Yeah, for the listeners, Griff and Patrick trained together, I think, pretty consistently and religiously for the last 2 years. two different marathons, and that starts 5-6 months ahead of time. Y'all spend so much time together at 4:30, 5
We
o'clock
do.
until 7 or 8. I mean, I've always wondered, like, you don't have to share everything, but what do y'all talk about? I mean, you get to know each other on levels because you just have to talk, and I'm sure you run out of topics. I mean, some of the stuff that me and Bushwood and Two Ply and go ahead.
Yeah, extended family, recruiting, all kinds of stuff. Like we'll break down golf rounds for 40, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean,
What jokes
I would say Tar Heel Sports Breakdown, projecting the basketball season. Griff gives me all the recruiting updates. So, but we know exactly how our kids are doing, what all the extracurriculars are. We know how our spouses are doing.
Yeah.
But no, there's no there's no topic off limits.
It's like I'm sure it's a form of therapy too. Like, I mean, you got a problem, some issue with the kids or the wife or extended family, and you kind of like give a venting session and a source for therapy and advice in situations because you have to talk. Anyway, all right, and like for me, like I'm running solo a lot. Wayne moved, left Chapel Hill, and is living in Hendersonville. I'm sure he's doing a lot of solo running. But dude, I love to listen to podcasts. So I crank out podcasts, and I've enjoyed that a lot. It gives me a chance. But you also do some thinking during that too, and your mind can wander on these runs. All right, Wayne. Question number 3. We'll go 2 more questions. Get out of here on the Big Hitters Only Marathon Podcast Edition. All right, number 3 question, Wayne.
Back.
Gotcha.
How do you feel the day after?
After the marathon?
Let's go, Griffin. Yep.
You're just glowing, Ross. I mean, you're floating on air. You're probably gonna be, we hung out at the like after thing for a couple of drinks, a couple of energy drinks, some food. Patrick and I took our wives to like a really nice dinner in Richmond. But man, I was walking around the rest of the day having a great time, and then the day after I felt horrible. Like I got up, I kind of like limped to the bathtub, like sat in it for a while, and then just like tried to like Hallie, my wife, drove me home, and like I just tried to like keep my legs as still as possible. So emotionally you feel great. Physically you probably never felt as bad as you're gonna feel that Monday.
Patrick, day after?
Yeah. So well lubricated the same day. That was fun. I mean, it was fun to just kind of like let loose, right? Like a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of hours. That first one I ran, my first marathon I did City of Oaks, and I was like 410, 415. And when I finished, I was like, my knees hurt. Like physically, my knees hurt for the first time in my life. And I was like, I'm never doing this again. This is just, I don't know why the hell anyone does this to themselves. Well, and obviously I did another one, but that day and that day after, you are questioning your decisions. And so, but it'll get better. You'll be better within a week.
Yeah.
No, yeah, and don't try to run like take a week off after that. Don't come back too fast.
I'm very much looking forward to.
But it doesn't. No, but Ross, I'm proud of you, man. Like I think you're gonna do really well, and I think you're gonna be, as high 30s, 40-year-old guys. We don't get a chance to get celebrated for athletic achievement very often. It's a big deal, and I think you should be proud of yourself for it.
Well, I haven't finished it yet. We got to stay healthy, not get injured. Go ahead.
Did you think when you started this, how confident were you that you were going to get to throwing down a 20-mile run?
I was very confident. I knew I would do it. I mean, I knew I would finish. I had no doubts that I would do this marathon. It just sucks. It just sucks to be slow. But I committed myself to it, and once you pay that money, you're in. I'm just hoping to stay healthy, knock on wood. Like, I don't want to get injured. I don't want to blow it now. We've had a couple people drop out. It's tough, man. Getting to that point where you're running 15, 20, because that's every run I'm doing now, my longest run is my longest run ever. So getting there and fighting through those last 4 or 5 miles is tough. But I felt really good on Monday, and then the last 5 miles sucked. But you kind of it is mentally, it tests you mentally, but it's also like you do your hardest things in the morning, and the rest of the day is easy type of deal. The runner's high is legit, but I've been so tired. You get so tired during the day. Like, you have that high, you're cooking breakfast, you're working for a couple hours, and then, like, man, that 10, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock hits, and you want to take a nap. And that's been tough. I mean, y'all got kids. I mean, I have no kids. So, I mean, I can't imagine. Like, I have a chance to take a nap sometimes late in the afternoon or pop in for 30 minutes after lunch or something. So that's been the challenge, is you get so tired.
Yeah, so Patrick and I try to be done by like 8 a.m., 8:15, sort of at the latest, because he's got, soccer practice, baseball practice. I've got to get home to the kids too. And just sort of, I mean, I'm on when I get home. Hopefully I get a shower, and then I'm cooking breakfast, making cinnamon rolls, going to the park. Just hoping, staying hydrated all day.
Yeah. All right, let's wrap this up. Guys, it's been great. I appreciate the guidance. I've really been relying on Griff and Patrick and some other people for kind of advice. I think we'll try to have Sweats and Ito on a little bit later on for some more advice. But I've really leaned on Griff and Patrick for advice throughout this process, and it's good to have people to talk to. You're like, I've ran this amount, to get kind of the kudos and learning about hydration and rest and energy and things like that. It's been a good resource. I appreciate you all, and this was hopefully fun. I think it would have been a little bit better in person, to do in person, because of the delay. The delay was kind of an issue on this recording, but that's okay. That's podcasting. That's part of life. I hope you all had a good time on your first podcast experience. First podcast for both of y'all, Patrick?
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely.
Okay, great.
It's great. Well,
right, awesome.
well led, well coordinated.
Yeah.
And Ross, real quick, a couple people have said this too, but man, I hope this takes off. I love what you're doing. I listen to a lot of Carolina podcasts too, and it's refreshing to hear sort of an honest take. We're friends, but like I think what you're doing is really good too. So keep going. We're spreading the word, and all the success to you for sure.
Appreciate that. We're trying to grow this thing. It's tough to keep it consistent, man. But I'm trying to do more things like this that are a little bit different. So you get a little UNC, and you mix it up with some lifestyle, culture stuff that is of interest to me and hopefully of interest to others. I've heard that, when you write songs, you want to write a song that you want to listen to. Like, what song do you want to do? And because you won't be passionate about it if you don't do something that you want to do, that you want to talk about, that you want to sing about. And the best songs are songs that you think are good. And so I try to take it to podcasts, like, talk about things you want to talk about. Otherwise, it won't be good. If you're interviewing somebody that's boring or that's something you're not interested in, then it's not going to be a good podcast. So, like, I want to do stuff that I'm interested. I've got some weird interests, but hopefully, kind of the sidetrack stuff will be good. All right, guys, Griff, Patrick, we appreciate it. We'll report back. Maybe we'll have a podcast live from DC or the day after or a couple of days after to recap it. That could be a fun option there. We'll get Wayne back on. Hopefully his internet's better. Guys, appreciate you listening to Big Hitters Only Podcast. Rate, review, subscribe, follow wherever you get your podcasts. We appreciate you listening to this episode.